Okay, a quick video to look at scatter plots. So here is our data set. Let's look at a couple that I've already made. So here's one that asks, does sleep impact your GPA? So when we're talking about a scatter plot, that's each of these dots, and each dot represents a student. And so you want to aggregate the data by ID number, student ID number. And so when I made my pivot chart, I created ID numbers in my rows, and then you put various other things in your values. The things you want to measure by student ID, you put in your values. You don't have any columns in these datas. So in this case, I wanted to look at, does sleep impact your GPA? We've got hours of sleep along the bottom, GPA on the Y or vertical axis, and the dots represent the students. And you can see that slightly increases that hours of sleep that you get correlates positively, but not strongly, to your GPA. We look at the next one. I asked hours on the phone and GPA. So again, GPA goes up along the y-axis and hours on your phone go up along the x-axis. And you can see that there's a very slight correlation that the more time you spend on your phone, the lower your GPA. But it needs to be stressed, it's a very slight. It's not a real strong correlation, and you see people with high GPAs across hours of phone usage, as you can see right here on the 4.0 line. So that's sort of interesting. I would have expected a stronger correlation. The strongest correlation is here, and GPA and hours of homework. And so in this correlation, you do see in general that as you do more homework, which is along the x-axis, as you do more homework, that correlates positively with a higher GPA. So how did we build this? Let's start one from scratch. Let's go back to the sheet and let's do insert and, let's do data and pivot table. So we're creating a new pivot table. Again, immediately on the rows, we're going to go ahead and grab ID. So that's what we're sorting by here, are the IDs. And then in the values, we are going to once again grab GPA, and we are going to summarize or average the GPA. And this time, let's look at attitude. So let's grab how are you today, or how are you, that's the number, because we want to also average by how they're feeling. So let's put that there. So one thing that's a little helpful here is if you select this row, and then you come up here to your three dots, not your three dots, this little thing here called text wrapping. And you do text wrapping. It's kind of nice because it lets you see what you're working with here. So let's do one more thing. Let's quickly add a filter. So I come down here, add a filter for ID number, and I just want to make sure that I get rid of all the blanks. And then I'm going to add another filter for GPA because I don't have GPA for everybody. And so when I do a filter and filter out the blanks, that cleans up my data a little more. Okay. So now I'm just going to select these three rows and hit my dots and insert a chart. So it often starts with a column chart, but that's not what we want. We want to do a scatter plot. Come down here to scatter. So it's a bit of a mess at the beginning. You have to really we often have to tell a scatter plot exactly what goes where. So what we know is that along the y-axis, we want GPA. That's what they call the series. So fortunately, we've already got GPA here. I'm just going to remove this one because I only want one series, which is the GPA. And then on the x-axis, I don't want ID number. I want how are you? And that's in column C. If I come here and hit edit and change this to be looking at column C instead of column A, sometimes you gotta, there we go. click OK. So now I've got my scatter plot. And what this shows me is from 0 to 5, which is GPA, and from 1 to 5, which is how are you feeling today. This shows me the correlation. Now, I don't see a lot of trend there, but let's go ahead and see if there is one, mathematically speaking. So I come to series here under customize the chart editor, and right here you just got this box that's trend line. And there is one. Often it's nice to kind of grab the exponential one because then it kind of gives you a little bit of a curve. But basically what this is showing, ironically, is that there is ever so slight decline here. But basically there's no correlation between how you feel on any one on average and your GPA, because you see this is pretty much a straight line, which tells you that it's scattered. So people who say they feel good don't have any better GPA than people who say they feel significantly less than good.